Is the internet forever? I hear this idea thrown around a lot, that any information that goes on the internet will last forever, and while I think it wise to think that way when posting your personal information online, it's not a good way to think about other information. More than half of the current world population is old enough to remember a time when internet access was rare, before cell phones could do more than call people, when the best place to find information was a library. I remember a time before Google, Wikipedia, and Internet Archive. Thousands of websites that were around back then are now little more than a memory in the minds of a few people. While projects like the Internet Archive desire to maintain a backup of the Internet indefinitely, there is no guarantee that they will continue to have enough funding to keep their operation going, not to mention they are constantly needing to increase the disk space in their data center for the amazing amount of new information that people are backing up with their service every day. If the Internet Archive goes down, then a large amount of information will no longer be accessible on the Internet. This has already happened a few times in the past, with the Internet Archive servers going down for various reasons, from legal challenges in California where they are based to distributed denial of service attacks from government actors trying to censor information during a recent disease crisis. Even with services like the Internet Archive, much of what happens online isn't being backed up. They don't attempt to back up YouTube videos, for example, as the amount of space required to do so would bankrupt them. I can remember many videos from the early YouTube days, before they were owned by Google, that are now lost to time. Services like YouTube have been used to censor information in the past, hiding content that was deemed unacceptable for one reason or another, and if users didn't manually back it up, then it was lost. Many people no longer purchase actual copies of movies, TV shows, or other entertainment, but instead merely subscribe to one or several streaming services. If those services ever decide to no longer host something, or if they decide it needs to be censored or modified for a modern audience, then it becomes unavailable for anyone to view. Companies like Disney have already done this many times with their own intellectual property, and some platforms find themselves forced to stop hosting various content when whatever agreement they signed with the original copyright holder expires. There are also many video games that required communication with a server online in order to play that have become unplayable once the original company has either gone out of business or has decided that the hosting of that server to be no longer profitable. I bring up all these examples to hopefully paint a picture of just how non-permanent the internet has already been over the last 30 years. If you see something online that you think you might like to see or have access to in the future, then you need to back up a copy for yourself. If you decide to purchase a book, game, music, or videos, make sure you do it through a service that either sends you a physical copy or allows you to download a copy that doesn't require internet access to use. If you purchase something that you can't access apart from an online service, then you don't actually own it. There have already been cases of Amazon books being deleted from people's e-readers even though they had purchased it in the past. There are also digital assets that have some sort of digital rights management scheme embedded within them that require authentication with a web server before you can access the asset that you supposedly own. In those cases, while you technically have a copy on your machine, if you don't remove the DRM measures, then you can lose the ability to view those files if those servers ever go down or if they decide that content should no longer be viewed by you in the future. So no, the internet isn't forever, not by a long shot. The internet is a useful tool for transferring information in the present, but if you really want to have access to that same information in the future, then you ought to save a copy locally on your computer. You certainly don't need to back things up, but just know that if you expect that information to still be available, or findable by you 10, 20, or 30 years in the future, the odds are not in your favor.